Good afternoon, everyone. 5 o'clock straight up on the East Coast. It is a Tuesday edition of On Cue. We are powered by our wonderful friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. 60 to play with on this Tuesday, the 18th of November, 2025. Had to start a little earlier today, and we'll be off the air a little earlier today. We've got some games to call later tonight, some basketball games to call overseas tonight. So we wanted to fire off a couple minutes early and get you guys in on the conversation. As always, don't forget, get social with me at Rich Q on QNX and IG. And of course, TikTok, Rich Q on the mic. Good show yesterday. A lot of banter, a lot of dialogue, a lot of back and forth on the NFL. And, just another crazy weekend in the NFL where we can't figure out this league. I mean, last night you're watching a game that, let's be honest, the Dallas Cowboys just absolutely smoked the Raiders. I mean, that game was not, it just was not even competitive. It really wasn't. It was a horrible game. And now you've got the Cowboy faithful coming out, and they believe they potentially can be a playoff team, which we are going to get into. We're also going to talk about how bad the Raiders are and some of these other franchises in the NFL that they are not even in purgatory. They're done. It's going to take a long time for them to figure things out. And then you got the report coming down yesterday regarding the Philadelphia Eagles. What else is new? And Jalen Hurts from a very credible source, Derrick Gunn, who covers the NFL, covered the Eagles for 30-something odd years, who worked for Comcast Sportsnet. He was always part of the pre and the post game for the Eagles coverage. Came out and he said that there are people, a lot of people in the Eagles organization, frustrated with the quarterback situation. Now think about that. Quote, there's a lot of people in that Eagles organization that are frustrated with the quarterback situation. This is almost Carson Wentz part 2. Now, D. Gunn is a credible source. D. Gunn is a credible guy. D. Gunn does his homework. D. Gunn is entrenched, connected within that Eagles organization. I mean, the players trust Derrick Gunn. So for Derrick Gunn to come out and again, say that there's weight to it. There is weight. He is one of the most respected media guys out there, and one of the most respected Eagles media guys out there. D. Gunn. I mean, I had him on my radio show for years in Delaware. For years, he was always coming on. So, like I said, this is not just Joe pumping the gas on the corner of Mifflin Street here. This is Derrick Gunn. So he's bringing a substantial amount of credibility. And we've talked about this now for a while regarding what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles. We've talked about it. And you can look at this franchise and you can look at this organization and the current state of the organization, and you can basically sit there and you can try to sell me, or you can try to sit there and say, everything is okay. Everything is okay. And I don't believe that's the case. I really don't. And it's very bizarre and strange to have this type of conversation with a team that just went to the Super Bowl. And oh, by the way, won it. All right, we got comments pouring in already. We're fast approaching 5. Quick timeout. We're going to get you going. We're going to continue with the opening mon. We're going to have a lot of fun today. As I mentioned, rapid fire, 60 minutes. Keep it locked into a Tuesday edition of On Cue. We'll get to your comments coming up on the other side. I see a lot of you guys weighing in already. So we definitely want to make sure you guys get the voice heard, so to speak, with some of your comments as well. Quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. All right, so I mentioned a very quick timeout. That's what we do on the show. We want to hear from you guys, mostly with your comments as well. You can hashtag on Q. I also mentioned that we are powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. 20% off your first purchase of Fresh Roasted Coffee. Check out BYP20. Also, Three Brooks Bourbon, and Get Ready with Tea along with Play It Again Sports. So as I mentioned, There's something going on a bit amiss right now with this Eagles franchise and this organization. And it's really bad when you think about it. It's bad when you think about it from this standpoint. This is a team that's the defending Super Bowl champs. And I think what happens is you have a quarterback in Jalen Hurts that some people, for whatever reason, he rubs some people the wrong way. Maybe it's his demeanor. Maybe it's, just the passiveness. Maybe it's he doesn't look like he's enjoying himself. He rarely smiles. Nobody knows, but he's a 27-year-old. He's a millionaire. He's an all-world, all-pro quarterback. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. You can make a case he's the most successful Eagles quarterback in franchise history. And yet, again, you've got these reports coming back saying that there's a disconnect, right? And when you start to say Carson Wentz part two, that's a problem. That is a problem because there was at the time, everyone talked about Carson Wentz being that guy. And for a season or two, it looked like Carson Wentz was going to be that guy until he got hurt. He was playing MVP caliber football. And if we recalled, it was the whole argument, well, Sam Bradford, don't look over your shoulder, play well. Well, that wasn't the case, and here we go. Wentz was that guy. He was the first quarterback that the Eagles took in the first round of the draft since '99 when they drafted Donovan McNabb. And it was crazy to think, right? I mean, you watch this kid go out and play, and he starts 16 games for the Eagles. They finished 7-9, and he played well. And he supplanted Sam Bradford, and that was pretty much all she wrote. And then 2017, he had the great season, and then he got hurt. And then it went downhill because Nick Foles came in, back up. Here we go. We beat the Patriots 41-33. See you later, guys. And the other thing was that if you recall, prior to the Super Bowl, Wentz basically was kind of ticked off, expressed displeasure to other teammates because of the success without him. And that's never a good thing when you start to do that. So you got a quarterback that played really well, got hurt, was an MVP caliber quarterback, and was still pissed off and aggravated that the team was succeeding. I don't think that's the case with a guy like Jalen Hurts. But in the NFL, 32 teams, 32 franchise quarterbacks, for a team that won the Super Bowl, the defending Super Bowl champs, that might not be ripping and roaring through teams this year, but have a very solid record trying to vie and jockey for home field advantage throughout the playoffs. I mean, you're going to sell me that there's a disconnect right now? How's that even possible? Like, it should not even be a conversation. It shouldn't. We should not be sitting here with the Philadelphia Eagles 9-2, and right there in the NFC with the Rams trying to get home field advantage and get that bye and win one game and then host an NFC championship. Talking about the quarterback. We talked about the head coach. We talked about the OC. We talked about the running back not having an impact. We talked about the wide receiver not getting his reps. And now we're talking about the franchise quarterback. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. You got a quarterback that's winning football games. His stats are not gaudy. They're not sexy, but all he does is win. And we're going to read the body language. We're going to look at Jalen Hurts and say, he's not happy. They're disinterested. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. Is there something going on behind the scenes? I mean, when you hear Derrick Gunn, well-respected voice that covers the Philadelphia Eagles and has for years, talk about Carson Wentz 2.0, that's never good. And perhaps an implosion is coming with the Philadelphia Eagles. And wouldn't that be something? I mean, I feel as though the Philadelphia Eagles are a franchise that only thrives when there's drama. I feel that way. I feel like the Eagles are a team that just thrives when there's drama. Listen, they're not an underdog story. They're arguably one of the best teams in the NFL. I don't think they're playing like it. And they were one of the best teams in the NFL last year, and they proved it. They won the Super Bowl. It wasn't even a competitive game. So I don't want to hear this. Again, underdog role. Yeah, you lose Lane Johnson 4 to 6 weeks. Next man up. That's what they do. That's what they do. But it just makes no sense. This is not the Raiders franchise. This is not the Jets. This is not what's going on with Cincinnati or Cleveland or in Atlanta. You're talking about a team that has shown you they are a proven winner. And they do it year in and year out. It's sickening. It's not like the Giants. The Giants believe they have a franchise quarterback. That's as dysfunctional as a franchise as can be. The Raiders, dysfunctional. I mean, my goodness. Think about this. You're watching that game last night. You knew Dallas was going to come out fired up playing for their fallen teammate. The Raiders never stood a chance. So again, I don't know exactly what's going on, but whatever this, dirty laundry, or just air it out, get rid of the stench, hanging out to dry, and move on. Move on. Listen, you don't want unnecessary drama, spotlight, pressure. It's hard enough to get back to the Super Bowl, hell, let alone win it one time. And now you got to worry about, within the organization not happy with the Super Bowl winning quarterback. No one said you got to like the guy. You got to respect him, though. Kid played his guts out. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes not once but twice. If it's not for a fumble and a bad call, he might be a two-time Super Bowl champion, a two-time Super Bowl MVP. And trust me, I've been critical of Jalen Hurts because everyone wants the numbers. They want the gaudy, sexy numbers, and he doesn't give you the gaudy, sexy numbers. But you know what he does? He helps you get W's on Sunday, and that's all that matters in the NFL. That's how franchise quarterbacks get paid. That's how head coaches keep their jobs. And yet now there's dissension. There's some nonsense going on. It just doesn't make sense. It's not Cincy or Cleveland or the Giants or the Jets or what's going on in Atlanta or the Raiders. Come on, those are all dysfunctional franchises. They're all dysfunctional franchises. They're all clueless franchises. It's one of the reasons they've been bad for so many years. So the question is now, figure it out. All right, quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. Got to take a quick break. As I mentioned, we're powered by our good friends over at Three Brooks Bourbon. Get ready with tea. Fresh roasted coffee, 20% off your first purchase, BYP20. And of course, Play It Again Sports, 2 locations, Mount Laurel, and of course, in Deptford. We'll come back. We will rip through all your comments on the other side. We got some guys tweeting at me as well, at Rich Quinones on Q. You can hashtag on Q. Keep it locked in. Tuesday edition of On Q right here, not only on X, but also on the YouTube channel. All right, welcome back, everyone. 10 past 5 o'clock hour on the East Coast, Tuesday edition of On Q. Let's hear what you guys have to say out there. Michael chimes in, Broncos country. Let's ride. Yeah, you're still giddy over that big win over Kansas City as well, as you should be, my friend. Scott chimes in, I don't see if Hurts will find a way to win without the criticism holding him down, that's pretty remarkable considering the city he plays in. I don't for the life of me. It just does not make sense. You're winning. You're winning. And I don't want to hear this. Well, it's the city or it's the fan base. That's just how they are. It's absolutely ludicrous. Like, I'm a big believer where there's smoke, there's got to be fire. And when I hear Carson Wentz 2.0, I mean, that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. Do you remember in 2018, prior to 2018, Wentz was the third overall. He was ranked third overall at the time in the NFL top 100 players of 2018. Think about that. But he had so many injuries, he had a little bit of inconsistent play, and then boom, what happens? 2019, they exercise the option, the fifth-year option on his contract. He signs a 4-year, $128 million contract extension, okay? So Foles came in prior to in Carson Wentz's absence. They went 3-0, and they got the win over the Bears, and then they lost to the Saints. And again, there was a piece that was written at the time by a reporter in Philly that said Carson Wentz was selfish and egotistical. That's the story revealed how the players found him. And they said he's calling so many unnecessary audibles on plays. They're not open. And then you had some current and former teammates kind of come to his defense because that's what they're going to do. Puts the team first, blah, blah, blah. Signs a massive contract. They're 3-3. And then again, what happens? Another report came out that an anonymous player was critical of Wentz too much. He's looking for the big play. He's not looking for the check down. He's checking off. Not good. This is why the completion percentage is under 40%. And you almost start to just wonder, right? Okay, are they going to fix this? And then he gets knocked out of the game against Seattle. The Clowney play. 2019, he makes his return. And again, think about it. It was almost like a matter of time. It was not working out, banged up, inconsistent. You got Jalen Hurts sneaking out the back. And I remember at the time saying the Eagles are going to trade Carson Wentz. You can't do it. His contract's untradeable. And what happens? They traded him. Traded him to the Colts. Then he went to Washington. Then he went to the Rams. Then Kansas City. Then Minnesota. I mean, just all over the place. I'm not suggesting that's going to happen with Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts has won a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts has taken the Eagles to 2 Super Bowls over the last several years. Jalen Hurts has proven he's worth all that money by winning a Super Bowl, by being an MVP. But again, when I hear 2.0 and you're 9-2, it's not a good look. The optics are always bad. And as I alluded to, hell, it can be worse. You can be some of these other franchises. I mean, you watched that game last night. The Raiders got to think that Pete Carroll is done. He's one and done. There's no way Pete Carroll can sit there and watch that nonsense. And to add insult to injury, now think about this. Chip Kelly should never be allowed near a friggin' football field again. He's a horrible coordinator. He's a horrible head coach. This guy's stealing money. This guy is stealing money. All I heard was, the Chip Kelly, the quack, 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 when they were 10-6 and 10 offensive, top 5 offenses, this and that. He's horrible. He is horrible. I mean, 2 carries for the running back, 22 pass attempts. That's a disgrace. That's a dysfunctional franchise. That game wasn't even competitive, man. The Raiders stink. They're a bad friggin' football team. I mean, you got a quarterback that leads the league in interceptions. Okay, early on, I should say, the 22 pass attempts prior to. But last night, 42 pass attempts. Now, I get it. You're down 24-9 going into the locker room. You're trying to make it a little competitive. But you've got a player that you drafted with the 6th overall pick, and he gets a handful of touches. It makes 0 sense. It's Fireable. This kid, Genty, you're throwing him out there against Dallas that has a horrible defense. At least show the run so Geno can maybe exploit the secondary a little bit. 6 touches? That's malpractice. Big time. I don't see it. Hurts will find a way. Oh, I'm sorry. I already read that one. Scotty boy, my bad. Michael chimes in. Q, I agree with your opinion about the Rams. They can go into Philly and win a playoff game. They can. They are built that way. They are built that way. 100%. Your Browns are the Browns are the most dysfunctional team that has a damn good defense. Yeah, I mean, it makes no sense. There's such a disconnect going on now with all the stuff floating around with Barry and Stefanski and not on the same page when it comes to Shador Sanders. And to be honest, I'm like Shador Sanders out, tired of it. Like Cleveland, they're going to fire Stefanski. I don't know how you don't. I honestly, I don't know how. He might be a good coach, but he's not the right fit for Cleveland, and it's a bad franchise. It's a bad franchise. It's not a properly run franchise. You don't need to be a talking head making $20 million a year on TV on the rat ship, on the mothership, to sit there and say there's something wrong with the franchise. I can do that in my office like I'm doing right now. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. And you can debate the semantics, the smoke screen. You can talk about the reps, the snap count, whatever. Awful debut. Was he sabotaged? Was he set up? The reps. It's just a bad look what's going on. If I'm a player, don't draft me. I'm not going to Cleveland. That's where quarterbacks go to die. And it's bad. Who will be the Browns' starting quarterback next season? Probably whoever they draft. Whoever they draft. Because they're going to draft a quarterback. If Stefanski's not going anywhere, Sanders isn't his guy, Gabriel's not his guy. So look to see if they start tanking some games. And oh, by the way, they're not the only team that needs a quarterback. Arizona is going to need a quarterback. They're done with Kyler Murray. The Jets are going to need a quarterback. The Saints are going to need a quarterback. I'll tell you this. If somehow that kid Mendoza falls to the Jets, they're going to grab him. 100% they're going to grab him. There are teams that are quarterback need. Miami might need a quarterback. Hell, Minnesota might need a quarterback with all the talk going on with J.J. McCarthy. And to think, I start the show talking about Jalen Hurts. We can all agree a franchise quarterback, right? Because he's putting up the numbers, he's consistent, he's accessible, the availability, he's winning games, he's winning playoff games, they're winning division titles, they're going to championship games. Hell, he won a Super Bowl. That's the definition of a franchise quarterback. And I got to come on the air and we got to talk about these reports coming out that the franchise, pardon me, that has a franchise quarterback is not happy with him. How just goofy does that sound? The Jets, Cleveland, the Raiders, Arizona, Miami. Who am I leaving out? Did I say Cleveland already? Twice? Who am I leaving out? Maybe Minnesota. Oh my God. They would be bending over backwards to have Jalen Hurts under center right now. Franchise quarterback, body of work, resume. It's just bad. You're 9-2. You're defending Super Bowl champs, and you got to deal with this nonsense. I'm telling you, they're like schoolgirls. They love the drama. This is when they thrive. That's what the Philadelphia Eagles do. They love this drama. They live for it. What are they gonna feed off of it? New phones. Who this? AKA He 12 Man, AKA Heisman, AKA Vince, AKA Duval, AKA used to be a Steelers fan. Sup, peeps? See my guy, legendary Sanders, getting the start and finally getting reps. If he looks good, shouldn't Stefanski be fired on the tarmac in honor of Lane Kiffin? One game does not make a career. Just remember that. We did the same thing with the preseason, did we not? Oh, man decides on a Tuesday. Why not jump on board? Probably busy with his schedule. We writing off Shador already? No, you can't. It's a bad situation. There are some quarterbacks that I've written off. Anthony Richardson, I've written off. Justin Fields, I've written off. Trey Lance has been written off. I'm pretty close to writing off J.J. McCarthy. I don't think he's a very good quarterback. Dylan Gabriel, not an NFL starting quarterback. Sanders, I think there's a rawness to him, and I think there's a level of appeal with the athleticism. But give him a handful of games. I've seen enough from Anthony Richardson. I was almost close to writing off Bryce Young. But again, the kid had to struggle a little bit and go through some rough times and also a horrible offensive line that never protected him. And the kid, to his credit, hung in there. Let me explain to you what happens when you get the right coordinator, the right coach, the right system, and you have an offensive line that keeps you upright. Bryce Young, his rookie season, got sacked 62 times. So what did they do? We have to address the offensive line. We got to run the football more, take pressure off this kid's back. In 14 games last year, he got sacked 29 times. In 10 games this year, he's been sacked 19 times. And by the way, he's a touchdown off from matching his career high of 15, which he's going to surpass. And he's only thrown 7 picks. So it's about system, scheme, getting these guys in place. Anthony Richardson is always banged up. He's not available. He's not accessible. And quite frankly, I don't think he's very good. And Daniel Jones, as long as Daniel Jones keeps winning football games, even if you have those turnovers and probably breaks a Colts fan heart in the postseason, he will be the starter next season. He will be the starter. He will cash in on a contract, but you have a quarterback in Anthony Richardson that was such a reach. The kid played 4 games his rookie season. He missed 6 games last year, and he only played 2 this year. He's in trouble. He might need a fresh start somewhere. And maybe an O'Connell in Minnesota, maybe you go in that situation, because McCarthy, to me, is not, Harbaugh, the smokescreen with this kid. I don't look at this kid. Dart's better than this kid. He's better than a lot of these young players. So I'm ready to write him off. Caleb Williams, you needed to bring in a head coach that understood Caleb Williams, that understood his strengths, that helped him out with his weaknesses. And oh, by the way, once again, did what? Fix the offensive line. This kid was sacked 65 times his rookie season. He's only been sacked 16 times this season. It's one of the reasons that his numbers are solid. It's one of the reasons that he's playing smart football. It's one of the reasons that he's showing confidence and the ability to move and scramble and take off on third down. Do I like to see him check off a little bit? Yeah. Go through your progressions instead of pull the ball down and run. He will grow into that. But I can't make that assertion without seeing Sanders out there. I can't. Or, see like Jackson Dart. I needed to see Jackson Dart. I have a nice sample size, but I want to see 4 or 5 more games. So no matter what, when the season's over for teams like the Raiders, the Saints, the Jets, Miami, Arizona, Cleveland, they're going to be looking. If Stefanski and Barry don't get fired, Sanders, he doesn't have a fit with Cleveland. He just doesn't. There's no fit. And maybe there's a fit somewhere else, but it's not going to be with Cleveland. There is such a disconnect going on with the franchise. And this is what happens when you have a GM and a head coach or an ownership group that do not see eye to eye. That's the main thing. That's really what it comes down to. So we're sitting in the war room. We're talking about the draft. And, I'm with so-and-so. I'm with Joe. And Joe's the GM and I'm the head coach. And we're bouncing off. Here we go. We're on. We know prior to, but on the clock. But you know what I'm saying? Leading up to that. And if we're going back and forth and we're talking about wants and needs and we need a quarterback and we're scouting guys and we're not seeing eye to eye on one guy, well, the GM ultimately is going to make the decision. Period. He's going to make the decision. As a head coach, I have to support that decision. I can push back. I don't have to like it, but it also is my job to be fair as a head coach, especially if I'm brought in because I'm an offensive guy, to make it work in some capacity. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say that, it's if this kid's listen, it's Shador Sanders, it's Deion Sanders' father. And I said something yesterday, and I probably should walk it back in this regard. If his name is Joe Smith, we're not having this conversation. We're just not. Nobody cares. We're not talking about a fourth or fifth round draft. We're not. But because the last name is Sanders, it basically takes up all the airspace. All the airspace. So you're going to have a sentiment of the fan base and or the talking heads, i.e. in Cleveland, saying, well, here you go. This is exactly why Stefanski was hesitant to play him. Look at his debut. And then you're going to have the other half of that say, whoa, whoa, whoa. What about the reps, this and that? When we kind of went through that yesterday and what's commonplace with a backup and reps. So no one's winning here. And either the head coach goes or the fourth and fifth round draft pick goes or the head coach and the GM goes. Or the head coach chooses never to play the kid and that's it. There's really no other option here. There really isn't. It's not like this kid played a whole season, cashed in, or a couple years, and now he's Tua. And now you got that albatross of a contract, and you don't know what the hell to do with it. Because he's off injured, but he put up stats. You saw the body of work. You can't trust Tua. You can't trust his injury history. You can't trust his inconsistent play. But he's banged all that buck. He's banged all that buck. So I can't sit here on a Tuesday and say, well, hold on a second. The kid can't play because he had 6 second half drives and he went 4 of 16 for 47 yards and he took a couple sacks. That's just not fair. That's not being objective. But I also don't have to sit here and say, well, hold on a second. The GM drafted him, so the head coach has to play him. Or the head coach drafted him, so the GM's got to sign off on it. It doesn't work like that, guys. It's just a mess. That's all it is. It is a mess. It is a mess. And it's a bad look. And it scares free agents away. It scares free agents away. He got drafted where he got drafted because that's where the pundits saw him. And he also got drafted because to a lot of NFL gurus and GMs, there were certain red flags. And maybe we're seeing some of them. I don't know. I think a lot of stuff can be true. That's all I'm saying. His stock fell. He rubbed people the wrong way. Maybe they were trying to spite Deion. Maybe they thought he couldn't play. Maybe he wasn't the right fit. Maybe they thought he was a reclamation project. Maybe they think it was too green. And there you go. If he can really play when he has his opportunity, he has to make the most of it. That's where we're at. And if he has 5 or 6 games this season to prove it, and he can't, then we'll make a decision. Or we'll have an opinion. I mean, you can have your opinion now. It doesn't matter. But it gets to the point where it's just overload. It's too much. Talking about a 4th, 5th round draft pick because he's Deion Sanders' son. If his last name's Joe Smith, nobody gives a shit. They don't. They don't. Period. Should have never been drafted in a 5th round. That's why all the interest queue. If he had gone like Brady late in the 1st, no, it's a question surrounding the draft. Many people think something shady is going out there and every day makes it look more and more like there are shenanigans going on. That's your opinion, though. If he goes out and he stinks up the joint, then Stefanski's reasoning is justified. That's all. Give me 6 games. Give me 7 games. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. But he might be a good quarterback, and it might not be the best fit for him under this head coach. It's just the bottom line is there's nothing going to get solved today, tomorrow, next week. It's just, it's overload. It's too much. I mean, think about it. I'm talking about a 4th, 5th round draft pick, 5th round draft, whatever the hell at this point. Then you got Jalen Hurts, who won a friggin' Super Bowl, and apparently Derrick Gunn's reports is there's contention in the locker room. I mean, think of the extremes we're going to. We're going to a horrible franchise in Cleveland that can't get out of their own way, that can't win anything. anything. They can't figure out what the hell to do with the quarterback situation, and there's drama. Then you got a defending Super Bowl champ with arguably, an MVP caliber quarterback, a Super Bowl MVP. They're 9-2. They just defensively shut down one of the best offenses in the NFL in Detroit. Yeah, they got bailed out a little bit, and their coach made some boneheaded decisions, and there's drama going on with them. In a year where a lot of people think it is a down NFL. It is a down NFL. If I told you in the beginning of the season, Denver, New England, Indianapolis were going to be your top 3 teams in the AFC, you would sit there and say, Q, you're nuts. You're nuts. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Turn the mic off. Call it a day. If I were to tell you in the NFC, the Eagles and the Rams would be 1 and 2, you'd say, yeah, that makes sense. But then the Bears? You'd be like, you're crazy. It's a goofy year. I feel as though we always have this conversation with the NFL. It's like week to week. Now everyone's going to jump on the Dallas Cowboys because they blew out a horrible Raiders team. So now it's Dallas Cowboys are making the playoffs. Watch out. Here come the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys are not a good team. They're not. They're not. I mean, the Eagles are running away with the NFC East. So when the Eagles turn around and they humble the Dallas Cowboys and say beat them 35 or 28-10, 28-13, then that noise stops. Or when they play Kansas City or Detroit, then the noise stops. We're such prisoners of the moment with everything. With everything. Look at one series, one drive, one quarter. Oh, world beaters. They're horrible. Can't play. It just, after a while, like, you got to let things play out. Now, if you believe a team is trending in a certain direction and that's why you think they're in trouble, that's one thing. Like Kansas City. I just felt going into the offseason, there were certain things that were not addressed. I felt the Eagles physically manhandle them. I just felt they were getting older. And I saw them trending down. And then I saw other teams I felt trending up. I've been right about some, and I've been wrong about some. Washington, I got sucked into that run last year, and then obviously Jaden Daniels gets hurt. And it's unfortunate because I wanted to see him take that next step, second-year progression. I thought Arizona would be a playoff team. Carolina, a fringe playoff team. All right, I got one right. I didn't expect the Rams to be this good. I honestly didn't. I thought Stafford was getting a little older. I wasn't 100% on their defense, and they've proven me wrong. And that happens. It can change next week. It can change next week. That's the NFL. That's why people gravitate towards the NFL. 16, 17 game schedule, one and done in the playoffs, and that's pretty much all she wrote. Like, it's not 82 games. It's not a $162. It's not a long drawn off season. It goes by so fast. That's why it's remarkable to have some of these segments where we're talking about some of these dramas with these franchises. Tom in Summers Point chimes in. Q, I'm not going to sit here and say the Eagles players and teammates don't like Jalen Hurts, but there's probably a sense that rub him the wrong way. You mean there's probably a sentiment that he rubs them the wrong way, I think you were trying to say. Sarge in Delaware chimes in. Q, you got to back off my Raiders. They just need a quarterback, a head coach, an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and a line. Correct. Mike in Ohio. Q, I've been a Browns fan since the days of Brian Sipe. This franchise will never, ever get out of their way. They are destined to be in hell for the next 20 to 25 years. I don't think that's the case. Let's not get all goofy. And I'll give you 2 reasons, right? So the Patriots got rid of an all-time great head coach. Their all-time great quarterback moved on and then won a Super Bowl with Tampa and eventually retired. They brought in Mayo, a former player. It blew up in their face. They tried to go to veteran bridge route with Cam Newton. It blew up in their face. They drafted a young quarterback. They let him learn, get the reps. They hired a head coach that understood the direction the franchise was going. And now look at them. So you get rid of your longtime coach. You were stuck in this mushy middle for years. You go 3-14. You draft your franchise guy. 2 seasons after having one of the worst records in the league, right now, you are leading the AFC. Now, can a team like the Browns do that? Can a team like the Steelers do that? Can the Giants do that? Can the Jets do that? Well, the reason I bring it up, the Giants need a new head coach. The Browns might need a new head coach. The Steelers, it just might be time. It's like Buffalo, it might be time. I'm starting to believe if the Buffalo Bills, now granted, the Bills have a quarterback. The Steelers have a bridge. The Giants think they have a franchise quarterback. The Jets don't, and Cleveland doesn't. They don't. And again, we don't know about the head coaching carousel with some of these teams. But Tomlin with Pittsburgh, I mean, you trade away Metcalf and Slim Pickens. And look at the numbers there. Look what they're doing. Change of scenery. Tomlin, it just might be time. He's taken the franchise as far as they can go. McDermott in Buffalo, if they don't win it this year, if they get bounced, if they're one and done in the playoffs, Bill's Mafia is going to call for his head. So to Mike's comment, you can turn it around. It takes a little bit of time, but if you do things the smart way, it can be done faster. The Rams several years ago, what did they do? They sold their soul for a Super Bowl and they got older, and look where they're at right now. Draft capital. Matthew Stafford is playing arguably the best football of his career. It's not even debatable. He's trying to run away with the MVP award, and they look like a juggernaut because they play both sides of the football. And their head coach, who was criticized a couple seasons ago, well, maybe the roses off the bloom, and McVay now looks like a friggin' genius. And the Rams are one of the best teams in the NFL. You got to go through some of these growing pains. Cleveland's got to go through it. The Giants have been going through it. The Jets are going through it. Arizona's going to go through it. Miami's going to go through it. Pittsburgh eventually is going to go through it. Atlanta, you draft a quarterback that's injury prone. You got a $150 million bench quarterback on the bench. That's a mistake. And now he's got to play. Some of these franchises are run so poorly. That's why it's just shocking that you get these reports coming out of Philadelphia. It really is. Now, if we were to kind of take a look back at some of these teams right now, as we start to creep towards, the latter part of the schedule, I mean, this is where you start to separate yourself. Two are coming out of the AFC East. The AFC West is probably going to get 2 teams. I think Kansas City might be on the outside looking in, but let's just, for argument's sake, say they sneak in. You get 3. You get 2 coming out of the East. That's 5. Then you get your divisional winners, say the Colts and the Steelers. There's your 7. Which means Jacksonville's got to make a little bit of a run. Baltimore's probably going to have to win their division to get in. And that's going on the premise of Kansas City gets in. You've got Houston that all of a sudden has won 2 straight, 5 of 5. They're kind of finding their footing. And then in the NFC, Eagles are running away with the East. You might get 2 to 3 out of the North. I mean, that would have been a huge loss for the Packers, but they got the win against the Giants. And Detroit is coming off a loss where their offense didn't do anything, and their defense kept them in the game for so long, in spite of their head coach's just horrible play calling and Dan Campbell on the offensive side of the ball going for all those fourth down tries. Then you got Tampa Bay. Carolina might sneak in. And then you have the NFC West. It's like cluttered. There's really no great team this year in the NFL. There really isn't. And when I say no great team, I'm talking about, dominating, where you're just literally ripping through the conference and your division. And you're just waxing teams. Just absolutely waxing teams. All right, let me get to some more of these comments. A lot of Eagles fans. Kevin C. chimes in. Q, did you see that they went back? What? that the reporters went back and did what with the Carter story? Oh, Kevin, you're killing me, brother. Abdul Carter? Oh, because he said he didn't fall asleep? I think you guys should be more concerned with Scadaboo hanging out wrestling last night. You know, I don't mind that. The kid's young, but people will look at that and sit there and say, he's dealing with the injury. That's a bad look. Giant Brass is probably going nuts. He's a different animal, Scadaboo is. He's a different kind of bird, no doubt, right? Definitely a different kind of bird. What do we got here? What do we got here? Star, already saw you. First Lady, I'll get to you in a minute. Mark in Wallingford chimes in Q. I know we're talking a lot of NFL. Any thoughts, hot stove baseball in general? No. We talked a little bit about Cy Young, the NL, AL, MVP. I thought it was a great World Series. I thought it was a classic. I mean, I think it'll be one of the all-time. I mean, listen, that game 7 to me still, I look at that and say it's right there, man. Top 10 all time. All time. I know I'm going to talk a little more baseball later on the week. Probably do a spot with Steve Gardner, and then we'll air that on the channel, on the YouTube channel. But yeah, we want to get into a little bit of the Yankees, the Mets, and the Phillies because they're pretty much in our backyard, AL East, NL East. But we'll do that a little more later on in the week. What do we got there? Mike D chimes in. Q, any thought on Stroud? Is he out on Thursday night? Yep, he is concussed. He is out. That's unfortunate, man. I had high expectations on Houston this year. I really did. I really, really did. And they really haven't been able to find their footing. And now this kid's hurt. Uh, you're playing you got the product of not the best division, but you got the Bills, the Colts, Kansas City. I think their little run might be over, to be quite honest with you. Skull 6 chimes in. Q, I'm a big believer in McCarthy. I know you're kind of pissing on him right now. I think you got to give the kid a little benefit of the doubt coming off that injury. I've seen enough. I don't know. There's something about his game that I'm not really enamored with. I don't know. You're going to tell me they wouldn't want Sam Darnold right now? I don't care that Darnold had the 4 picks the other night. Minnesota, I don't like McCarthy. I'm telling you, I just don't like him. I really can't give you a concrete answer to why. I don't know. I don't like his game. To me, he wasn't worthy of being a top 10 pick. It's just because Harbaugh really kind of push. I mean, I'm looking at his numbers, man. I mean, 11 of 21, 52%, 47%, 50%, couple picks. His best game was when they beat Detroit. He was efficient against the Bears, but I don't know. Am I missing something? I'm not a McCarthy fan. So down the stretch, my Jags had two heads against Colts. I think we pull out one of those, and Danny Nichols will go back to his pumpkin. That was my nickname that I gave him, not Danny Gunn. I gave him Danny Nichols. You guys know that. Let me pull up Jacksonville's schedule. Let's see. They're 6-4 right now. That Arizona game, I'd watch yourself. That might be a trip-up game on the road against Arizona. See, you can't figure Jacksonville out. That's the problem. You just can't. Are they the Jags that went on the road and beat a Cincinnati team? Well, they actually had Burrow at the time, so forgive me. Or are they are lost, I'm sorry. Or are they a team that went on the road and beat, bang a 49ers team? Wow, they've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games already at home. So they go on the road and play Arizona. Let's just say, for argument's sake, I'll give them a win. On the road against the Titans, that's a win. That's 8-4. I'll give them a win at home against the Colts just to appease you. That's 9-4. They beat the Jets 10-4. They lose to Denver 10-5. They lose to the Colts 10-6. Then you got the Titans, which are going to be playing for the top overall draft pick. So that's 11 wins right there. Now the Colts are 8-2. So you need, if you're a Colts fan, you want to win the division. You got 7 games left, 4-3, 12-5. You got to get to 12 wins. That's why it was so important that they stockpiled these wins early on in the season. And remember, they had an opportunity to beat the Rams, and you could have made a case they should have beat the Steelers, but the Steelers defense, they played well. I'll give them that credit. So they are 8-2. I'll give them a loss on the road to the Chiefs. 8-3. I'm going to give them a win at home against the Texans. 9-3. I'm going to give them the loss because I gave you the win on the road against Jacksonville. 9-4. I'm going to give them a loss on the road against Seattle. 9-5. I'm going to give them a win at home against the 49ers. That's 10. I'm going to give them a win against you because you split. That's 11. And then for the division, I'm going to give them a win on the road against the Texans. So all you can do right now, my friend, is, as we like to say in the business, scoreboard watch. That's it. Scottaboo make an appearance at WWE. You being a fan of wrestling has to respect that. I didn't watch it. I was you had Monday night last night. I'm watching old NBA stuff, and then I'm flipping through Netflix, and then I had to wake up late to do overnight broadcast, and then I was counting sheep. So I don't know what to tell you on that. I didn't watch. Scottaboo's a different animal, man. He's a different bird. I'm okay with that. D'Amico Ryan could turn into Aaron Glenn very quickly and be in way over his head. Ooh. Oh. Is that our should we add this in our fresh roasted coffee hot take of the day by the listeners? Oh, ooh. Not bad, madman. Should we put it up on the screen once more? Yeah, let's do it. D'Amico Ryan could turn into Aaron Glenn very quickly and be in way over his head. Ooh, that's a good take. That's a very good take. They made the playoffs, right, last year? It stinks when your quarterback goes down. By the way, speaking of hot takes, did you see that solitary Stephen A out NBA countdown? How about that little shakeup going on? Out. Pulled them off. Pulled them off. That's what happens when you push crappy, shady solitaire apps. Boom, 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 boom. That is wild, huh? Now I wonder, is another shoe going to drop with that? See, the problem is he's rubbed so many NBA pundits and players the wrong way that they decided enough is enough. So they're going to go with a refined, refreshed panel. He definitely wants to go to political route, man. Definitely. But think about this. They're actually taking something off his plate as opposed to adding to the plate where it's already saturated. I think I believe he's using the platform, the show, XM, the YouTube channel, everything. He wants to start to spin into that, political sphere. I think within 2 to 3 years and remove himself fully from the sports world. That's just my opinion. But that was a surprising move. And I also was reading, I don't know if you guys saw this. And let me just make sure I got the right. I pulled the link up and I wanted to save it for my notes. That this is what I wanted to tell you guys. Did you see that James Franklin got hired already? So he had to renegotiate his buyout. I mean, it's 40 million bucks. What are you taking another job for right away? That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's a 40 million, so 40 million twist. The plot thickens. He left a ton of money on the table. You're talking on the hook for 49 million to be paid through 2031, which was the second largest buyout in college sports history after he was fired mid-October. So Penn State basically now they got to fork over just 9 million. I don't even know what he's getting paid with the new gig, but I mean, you got 40 million off the books. I'm just laughing if they actually hire Brian Daboll. I'm just laughing. But I mean, he just rushed to get another job already. Got to be kidding me with that. 49 million. Wow. Absolutely crazy. Let me see. What do we got there? Chris in Colorado and Clearwater chimes in. Q, you know I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. I don't think they move on from Tua. As you say, that's just too much of a big nut to overcome. But do you think if they win a couple more games, McDaniel's job is more secure? Miami has a major problem on their hands. They have a Tua problem on their hands. They do. And the problem is you can win some games and you can show flashes, but as you guys pointed out to me over the last several years, kind of like Slinging Sammy, at the end of the day, he's going to revert back to what? Exactly what we know. And again, it's a situation where they paid him a lot of money. A lot of money. A substantial amount of money. It has not panned out. And I will be the first to admit, if it was a Monday, I would man up on it because I said the market bared it. You have to pay them. And there you go. Now, what I think is going to happen is what I brought up with Lloyd about a week or two ago. I think you might get a situation because we already passed the trade deadline. Good to go for the rest of the season. See how it plays out. But remember that Brock Osweiler trade? Like that Brock Osweiler trade was on steroids. I mean, think about that. So the Raiders have like 100 million and 174 million in 2026, 2027 cap space. So what's been thrown out there and proposed, would the Dolphins send a 2026 second round pick, a 2027 second round pick, along with Tua, along with the fish, in exchange for the 2027 fifth round pick? So basically, Vegas keeps Tua through 2026 at around 70 million over that time. And its majority is fully guaranteed. But it helps Miami get out of their tight cap situation. And now you can reset, you can rebuild, and now you've got a little more resources at your disposal. And I believe Seth Wilder came up, that idea. So I want to give him credit. It's not outlandish, whether it's the Raiders or another team, because the Raiders are going to need a quarterback. But Miami can't go in the next season with Tua as their quarterback. They just can't. They can't. Sick of everyone but Kevin Patullo. Wow. Okay. I mean, that's your guy you're not sick of? Really? I don't know about that. You sure? You sure about that? You're not. You're sick of Hurts. You're sick of Brown. You're sick of Sirianni, Big Dom, but not Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator that stinks. Brock Osweiler reference, he played well in relief from Manning when he went down for a couple of games. Go Broncos. I mean, he had a cup of coffee, right? Come on, stop. Come on, Michael. Come on, just stop it right there. It's like Scott Mitchell. Scott Mitchell made what, 100 and something odd $1 million off of 5 games? Remember Scott Mitchell? Had a little cup of coffee with the Lions, right? Or actually, no. He got drafted by Miami, and he had a little run of games. I think it was like 3-4, 3-3, and then he cashed in with the Miami Dolphins. That was a crazy contract. I mean, crazy contract. That's paying a guy, as I mentioned, just off a handful of games, and that's what they used to do back in the day. Matt Robinson with the Jets, a couple games, name him a starter. Go ahead, name him a starter. Go ahead, and that's crazy because you can't run a team like that. You can't. You just can't. It's horrible. So when he was at Miami, and he played well, but he wasn't great. But because of that, he was able to sign that free agent contract with the Lions. And I think it was a 3 or 4 years, like 12, 13, 14, 15, because he rejected the deal from Miami for like $2 million as a backup. Then you got like a $5 or $6, $7 million signing bonus, which was crazy at the time. Absolutely crazy at the time. So like Osweiler, they wanted to just get rid of him. Guys like Osweiler, Matt Castle, even Jimmy G. These guys, their agents are the Hall of Famers here. Sam Bradford. I mean, you talk about a guy that just for some reason, all I heard for years, he was the best thrower of the football. Sam Bradford was a horrible quarterback. Sorry. He's just not a good quarterback. He wasn't. Guy, journeyman quarterback. Yeah, okay, hanging around St. Louis, bounce around with the Eagles, bounce around with Minnesota, bounce around with Arizona. But here's the thing with Sam Bradford. Look where he got drafted. I mean, I just remembered the time with Sam Bradford. All I heard was this guy's got a great arm. Yeah, but he always had that deer in the headlights look. Always. I mean, this guy never lived up to a first overall pick in the draft. He hasn't. He didn't. But he cashed in a lot. And there is there is a spot for that. Stop spreading the rumors on Hurts. We're 8-2. Who's spreading the rumors? What are you talking about here? What do we got here? Mr. Chamberlain, did you not listen to the friggin' show? I'm not the one that reported that. That's Derrick Gunn, goofball. All I reported, which wasn't really reporting, all I said was, how can a team be 9-2 and have this friggin' drama? So you kind of answered my own question. They're 9-2. They're trying to vie for the top spot in the NFC. And Derrick Gunn, I'll put it up right there for you, there, guy. Derrick Gunn basically came out and said that there's a disconnect, that the organization is getting tired with Jalen Hurts. That's D. Gunn, one of the most respected football guys in the area, one of the most respected Eagles media reporters, insiders out there. So when D. Gunn goes on the air and says, quote, Jalen Hurts is Carson Wentz part 2, you can't come at me and tell me that I'm spreading something. That's D. Gunn. That's Derrick Gunn. A lot of people, quote, in the Eagles that are frustrated with the quarterback situation, compares it to, quote, Carson Wentz part 2. There you go, my guy. Take it out with D. Gunn. All we're doing was just recapping those comments and kind of breaking them down and giving you my opinion on it. This Eagles franchise, as I mentioned in the start of the show, they thrive off the drama. I mean, they feed off the drama. You're friggin' 9-2. If it's not the offensive coordinator, the lackluster offense, if it's not the head coach making boneheaded calls and decisions on fourth down, if it's not the prima donna wide receiver wanting his targets and his reps, if it's not now the MVP of the Super Bowl quarterback, like what is it? What is it? You're 9-2. You're jockeying for position in the NFC. You get home field advantage. You get one game. You win it. You host a playoff game. You get back to the Super Bowl. And yet, we got to come on the air, talk about these reports because there's something going on within the Eagles organization. Now, is it enough to derail the season? I'm not talking about an injury. Lane Johnson out 4 to 6 weeks. They'll overcome that because that's what they do. Next man up. It's a loss, but it's a bad loss if it happens in late December, early January. I mean, it's just remarkable. You're talking about a team 8-2. Pardon me, I said 9-2. 8-2 after 10 games. But yet they feed off this drama. Yeah, the offensive line's going to have a tough time without Lane Johnson. Sure. But this team is not like what we saw last year. That is a fact, especially offensively. Saquon Barkley, last year, Saquon Barkley had a year of years, rushed for over 2,000 yards. He averaged 5.6 yards a clip. This year, he doesn't even have 700 yards rushing. He's got 3.8 yards a tote. That's not going to get it done. There's an issue going on with their offense. And I'm not going to tell you it's the quarterback. I'm not going to tell you it's the wide receiver or the tight end. I think it's a play calling. I think the play calling stinks. You got an all-world back. There's no balance to the run and pass. Then when you have A.J. Brown, who barks most of the time, what do? They try to force feed him the football. Then you look at the routes. Is he running the route? Is he giving up on the route? Is Hurts not throwing it his way? Is Hurts going through his progressions? Is he just not getting rid of the football fast enough? There's issues going on with the Eagles right now, in spite of the fact that they're 8-2. And if you're an Eagles fan and you can't acknowledge it, I don't know what to tell you. I have no idea what to tell you, but it's clear as day. There is a dysfunction. There's a disconnect within this franchise, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So when you have a very reputable and credible reporter that basically has his ears to what the players are saying, thinking, and feeling, I'm going to take his word for it. And they better figure it out, especially this season, because the NFL, the way it is this year, as I started to show off, it's open. It's open. The NFC, you pave it through Philadelphia, one or two teams, I believe, have a puncher shot to go in there and beat them. And I already gave you my two teams, Seattle and the Rams. I believe they can go on the road and they can beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs, if need be, if they had to. If that's what stood between the Eagles and these two teams getting back to the Super Bowl. But offensively, it just hasn't been jiving with this team. It just hasn't. And it's okay if this is week 2, 3, 4. But now we're talking about this offense, and maybe the defense is going to start to carry them like they're doing in Denver. But there's no way I'm comparing, with all due respect, to Bronco Nation, Bronco Ball, their offensive weapons, to the Eagles' offensive weapons. So in what world do some of you Eagles fans live in where you have an all-world quarterback, running back, wide receivers, a really good tight end, one of the best offensive lines in the football, and you can't sustain drives? You can't get out of your own way. You can't run the football. You can't open up the passing attack. You scored 10 points against Green Bay, and you scored 16 points against the Lions. It's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. Eagles and Saquon doing a good job avoiding the mountain curse. Well, there you go. There was the mush. Light it up. Light it up. There you go. Yeah, so thus far. Injuries, the inconsistent play, and just the self-sabotage will derail their season. Rams and Seattle would have to play that perfect game. And honestly, if the Eagles continue to play like this, maybe they don't need that perfect game. Maybe they catch them at the right time. But for a team that's 8-2 defending Super Bowl champs, there's always drama. There's always nonsense. You're not the Jets. You're not the Giants. You're not Cleveland. You're not Arizona. You're not Miami. You're defending Super Bowl champs. Like, act like that. That's all. That's it. Act like it. That's it. AJ was brought in, fire sale for a reason. Seattle, we're talking about Seattle. Stop it. Hey, listen, Seattle has a very good defense. See, you're looking at Seattle, and you know why you're mocking me with that? Because you're looking at Sam Darnold. Seattle has a very good defense. Come on, stop. They shut down the Rams. The Rams defense just played better. Seattle can go into Philly and beat the Philadelphia Eagles. They can. They can. And they might have that opportunity. Don't write off Seattle right now. They play very good team defense. They get to the quarterback. They can also run the friggin' football. And Darnold has all these disposable weapons. He's got very good weapons at his disposal. They can. And they held the Rams to 21 points. And that's a game they should have won, but Darnold had the 4 picks. And they still were in position to win that game late on a long field goal. But to your point, to not counter it, Joe, I believe, is the commenter. This is the perfect year for the Eagles to get back to the Super Bowl. Like, get rid of all this drama. The 2 teams I mentioned, yes, they have a puncher's shot. But aside from that, who is really going to beat them? I don't think the Lions match up well against them unless that game's in Detroit. The Green Bay Packers, I'm not sold on the Packers because I don't trust Jordan Love. The Bears are kind of a wild card because they're a young team, but I don't see the Bears and Caleb Williams going in Philly and beating the Eagles. I don't. So, who's left? The 49ers? The 49ers, all these injuries. If they weren't injured, I would say it's a different story, but they lost key guys all over the place. Tampa's shown that they're flawed this year. The Bucs going into Philadelphia, I can't figure the Bucs out. Are the Bucs the team that turned around and they beat Seattle and beat the 49ers, or the team that lost to the Lions, or the team that lost late to the Pats, or the team that gave up 44 to Buffalo? I can't figure them out. That's my dilemma when we talk about the NFC. The Rams, to me, are the team. That's the team that I've said for the past month. They are built on both sides of the football. They get to the quarterback. They showed you last year in the snow, they hung in. They gave the Eagles the most competitive game in the playoffs. Stafford's playing at a ridiculously high level, and they should have beat him the first time around. You get a fluky block field goal. The Rams had so many opportunities to win that game. Their defense is built to get to Jalen Hurts. Their defense is built to stop the run. We'll dare you to throw it. And they've got weapons, and they got a quarterback that has played in big spots. So you guys are laughing at me because I said Seattle. Well, I also said Seattle and the Rams. They're not intimidated by the Philadelphia Eagles. They're not. And I trust that head coach who at times makes some decisions like in San Francisco earlier this year over Sirianni. I trust his play calling, their offensive creativity over what I'm seeing from Sirianni and Patullo right now. And that offense. Listen, you got a long season to go. But I'm telling you right now, you don't want to match up with the Rams in the playoffs. Steven chimes in. Hey, folks, Eagles fan here. Rams can beat us. I think they can. I think they are a very, 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 very good team. I like Darnold. Okay, you have a point. I'm not. I see your point. The NFC is beatable. I'm not trying to drive it home. I'm just saying that this year you've got an opportunity. You've got an opportunity to go back, Joe, to the Super Bowl. You've got an opportunity to win it again. You got defending the crown, getting back is so hard to do. It's so hard to do. And it just amazes me that we're having conversations about the disconnect of some of these players within that locker room with a franchise quarterback that has clearly shown you he can win the big game because he won it last year and was the MVP. So in a down year, this is not what you want. You don't want A.J. Brown being passive aggressive. You don't want Sirianni being coy with the media or barking back at them. You don't want the offensive coordinator looking like a deer in headlights. You don't want your all-pro running back not being able to get off. You've got your quarterback right now, and there's a disconnect. Listen, and I'm a Giants fan for the new guys tuning in. So trust me, I got my own issues. But when the Giants won in 2007, they were the best team in 2008. And the only thing that could have derailed them was what? An injury or self sabotage. And what happens? Plaxico shoots himself. You lose Plaxico the rest of the season. You host a divisional round against the Eagles in the win. The ball hangs up there the first play of the game after a long return by Bradshaw, and you settle for 3. And the Eagles that whole game just basically said, we're stacking the box. You're not going to throw because you got no Plaxico. And the Giants sabotaged their season. They sabotaged it. The drama, the issues with Plaxico, not wanting to practice, going back and forth with Coughlin, and then the coup de grace, the gun going off. Now, apples and oranges, but point is, they were on the cusp of doing something very hard, getting back to the Super Bowl and repeating and winning it again, because they were going to run right through that NFC. They were. They won 9, 10 games in a row. They were running roughshod. Eagles, same boat. Now, the Eagles offensively have struggled a little bit, but now their defense is carrying them. But you still got to be able to run the football come playoff time. You still got to be able to get to the quarterback consistently come playoff time. I have not seen that from this team like I saw last year. They're not running the ball. They're not getting to the quarterback consistently, and they're not forcing turnovers. That's another thing no one's talking about. That defense was so opportunistic last season. They were so opportunistic. So right now, yes, they're in the driver's seat in the NFC East. Right now, you look at them, you got home field advantage. You're right there with the Rams. They've got great talent. They still have a very good offensive line, even without Lane Johnson. You've got very good wide receivers, a good tight end. You got Saquon, a great running back. You've got talent. This is the opportunity to take advantage of it, because aside from those 2 teams that I mentioned, who is really a threat to the Eagles? That's all I'm saying. Who is really a threat? That's it. Rams are better. I don't think Hurts is garbage. I don't. I don't think Hurts is garbage at all. I think Hurts is a good quarterback. I mean, I told you this right now. He's consistent. He puts up numbers. He's steady Eddie. I think people look at Hurts and they look at the body language and he doesn't smile and he always looks, unhappy, but he wins. So go right now to Minnesota, Cleveland, the Jets, the Raiders, Arizona, Miami. Give them a call right now. You want Jalen Hurts? They take him in a heartbeat. Hurts is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He has moments where he plays like a great quarterback, but he's been a steady, consistent, at times frustrating quarterback to watch. You'll get a Jalen Hurts that scrambles and takes a bad sack or throws it away late in the game, or, doesn't look off, goes through his progressions or fumbles the football. But then you're going to get a Hurts that goes for the dagger in the Super Bowl and just throws a gorgeous, touchdown toss to Smith, the FU to the NFL world. He's frustrating to watch, but he's kind of steady Eddie. That's all. That's all. Drama in Philadelphia. Coaches and players are frustrated. That's what the reports are, but it's weird because the Eagles are 8-2. That's all. And if they go out and A.J. Brown gets his 10 receptions for $135 and 2 touchdowns against the Cowboys, and they beat them 35-13, then we're not talking about this on Monday. Same sentiment I have as a non-Eagles fan. Hurts does what is needed to win the game. What more can you want? That's it. That's perfectly stated and perfectly said. That's exactly what that is. He just does what's needed to win the game. I know old school quarterbacks don't like managing the game phrase, but that's what he does. He's not going to blow you away with gaudy stats. He's not. If Jalen Hurts goes 18 of 26 for $186 and a touchdown every game the rest of his career, and they win 85% of the games, he's ecstatic. Or 75% of the games. That's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Come on, guys. It's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's a Super Bowl MVP. When they were 10-1, you made an argument he was the NFL MVP. I think at times he's just a frustrating quarterback because he does things that a rookie does, and he's not a rookie. and he makes some throws that you're like, where are you throwing the ball? But then he makes some plays with his legs and he improvises. And I think the Eagles fan tends to be overly critical on Hurts. Hurts not on time. He disrupts routes, and the film doesn't lie. Hurts is a wussy. Okay, doesn't do what coaches and players want. You are liberal. I mean, huh? I don't know about that. Hurts is never on time. All broken plays. He's not consistent. Team wins. Team wins. I don't know. I'm starting to think. Let me see. Steven over here, I think I got a little fired up. Maybe he had a couple hot toddies. He's ripping through. 24-28, 128. Put Hurts on the Giants. No, I'm going to stick with Dart. I've never been called the liberal, though. Huh. And he's doubling up. Maybe I should call him Stevie 2 times. I don't really defend Hurts. I'm just kind of, man, tell us. What else? You're going to go get the papers? Get the papers? Hey, you guys are entitled to your opinion. That's okay. I think he's a good quarterback. That's all. Yeah, you got it, brother. Don't worry about it. Anytime, man. Just fire away. Hey, listen, sometimes I give you guys that hour plus of therapy. It's okay. It's okay. I know, yes, I know you're frustrated, but I understand. I understand you're frustrated. But would you rather be 3-6, 2-7, and have no future, no franchise quarterback, and a coach on the hot seat? I understand your quarterback frustrates you. And I get that there are routes that the receiver doesn't break off and he misses the throw and he holds on to the football too long. I understand all that. But are you really, in your heart of hearts, now be fair now, tell me that, and this is where the Eagles fan is getting a little spoiled. You're winning 10, 11, 12 games a season. You're winning divisions. You're going to the playoffs. You're getting to the Super Bowl and you're winning a Super Bowl. Are you going to tell me right now that Jalen Hurts hasn't been a consistent quarterback throughout the course of his career? I can pull up the numbers for you. He's got 101 touchdown passes. He's got 40 picks. And oh, by the way, he has 61 more rushing touchdowns. So he's got 161 total touchdowns. He's got close to 20,000 total yards, 17,000 passing yards. And what else? And he's cut down. This year, he's got 16 touchdowns and 1 pick and 6 rushing touchdowns. Bro, he's got 22 touchdowns and 1 pick. And you guys are still, critical of this guy. Got to go do the tush push. Yeah, that's it. 2 times. Right? I've been watching the same stuff for 2 years. Yeah, but you won a Super Bowl with this guy. You won a Super Bowl with this guy. Come on, man. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the biggest stage. It's your offensive coordinator that you're pissed off about. It's your OC. Your OC, who, oh, by the way, your head coach aside, that's the only guy I'm going to bring in an interview. That's on the head coach. And the Saints don't have anything going on, right? There he goes. He's doubling up. This is Stevie 2 times. We got him right now. He gets the show. That's my man, Pots and Pans. He gets it. Listen, all they need to do is figure out the offense. All the other stuff is just, they say smokehouse crap, fodder. That's all it is. If they beat the Dallas Cowboys 35-10, 35-13, we come on the air Monday. All is forgiven. There's no disconnect. There's no nonsense. Everyone's happy because winning cures all. That's it. That's where we're at. All right. My God, I thought it was going to be a Woosah Wednesday today, right? Woosah Wednesday, and that's not the case. And listen, I'll say this, Sarge chiming in. Q, you mentioned it before. Run the friggin' football, get to the quarterback. That's how you win in January. 100%. And now the Eagles are starting to play a little defense. Got to run the ball better. But you can't take away that quarterback May played last year. You can't. And if you guys just don't like him, you just don't like him. There's probably 10 teams in the NFL, 15 teams that will want Jalen Hurts. That's all. And I gave you the franchises. All right, got to start wrapping it up. Want to remind everyone, tomorrow, Woosah Wednesday, we are back in the saddle. We're back on the air. We will drop a new edition of Back Your Play Thursday. So we are going to take a look again. We drop it earlier in the day so we can start going through these lines, Thursday Night Football, obviously, to start things off. And then Lloyd and I will run for the gamut. So you got the Bills and the Texans. Right now, the Bills are laying 6 in that game, but we will go through all the 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock games. Obviously, you got the Sunday night game, the Bucks and the Rams, and Monday Night Football, the 49ers and the Panthers. So we're going to drop that on Thursday. That'll be on Amazon, Spotify, also Apple Podcasts. Tomorrow, back in the saddle on X, on the YouTube channel. We'll put the content up on Rumble. We got a 5 o'clock, maybe a 4:30 start time on a Woosah Wednesday. But appreciate all the new commenters coming through on this fine Tuesday edition of On Cue. We're powered by our good friends over at Get Ready with Tea, fresh roasted coffee, Jersey Shore breaks, and of course, 3 Brooks Bourbon. Don't forget the show notes, BYP20, that'll save you 20% off. There you go. This is what I'm saying. My guy, this Stevie 2 times, he's got it. Hit the like button. Exactly. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. Eagles fans are unbelievable. I'm telling you right now, I would not mind being 8-2. I would not mind being 7-3. I would not mind being 6-4 as we speak on this Tuesday. All right. Appreciate you guys keeping us locked in for pretty much 2 hours. You guys are fantastic. Have a good Sports Tuesday. A little NBA tomorrow, a lot more NFL. We'll mix in a little college football and some hot stove baseball as well. You guys have a good Tuesday. As always, I'm Rich Quinones. Be safe, be sound. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of On Cue. And as always, hasta luego, buen día.